Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Psalms, the first chapter. Now, before getting into it, I want to read this portion from the, it's like a little, background information on the book of Psalms. And this is from the, which version is this? The Holy Bible with Apocrypha. Authorized King James Version, okay. All right, so it says here, the book of Psalms is the largest and perhaps most widely read book in the Bible. The Psalms were set to the accompaniment of stringed instruments and served as the temple hymn book and devotional guide for the Jewish people. So it's called Psalms because they're messages, prophecies, whole lots of things in terms of content in these Psalms, but they're actually psalms, right, that were sung. The book explores the full range of human experience in a very personal and practical way. Its 150 songs run from creation through the patriarchal, theocratic, monarchical, exilic, and post-exilic periods. The creation to the patriarchal, right, the times of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the forefathers, theocratic, right, and monarchical, right, from when we were under a theocracy, a rule of God, until when we started having kings. Exilic, concerning when we were in exile. I believe this is more of the Babylonian exile that happened mainly to the southern kingdom. And post-exilic periods, the tremendous breadth of subject matter in the book of Psalms includes jubilation, war, peace, worship, judgment, messianic prophecy, praise, and lament. At least 14 Psalms connect to events detailed in the Old Testament's books of history, most notably Psalm 51, which David wrote after his sins, recorded in 2 Samuel 11-12. It says here, the Psalms were gradually collected into one book without a name, perhaps due to the great variety of material. In time, it came to be known as Sefer Tehillim, or Book of Praises, because almost every psalm contains some note of praise to God. The Septuagint uses the Greek word psalmoi as its title for this book, meaning poems sung to the accompaniment of musical instruments. It also calls it the Psalterium, which is collection of songs, which is the basis for the term psalter. The Latin title is Liber Psalmorum, Book of Psalms. And then it goes into the authors here, right? It says, while many people recognize David as the author of Psalms, at least 6 others join him. David wrote 75 of the Psalms and is followed in antiquity by Asaph, a priest who headed the service of music, who composed 12 other Psalms. The sons of Korah, a guild of singers and composers, wrote 10. Solomon wrote 2. Now, the ones here that they mention about Solomon, for example, Psalm 72 or Psalms 127, when you actually read it, this was a psalm written for Solomon, right? Not a psalm written by Solomon. Moses wrote 1, Psalms 90, and Heman, a wise man, wrote 1, and Ethan, another wise man, wrote 1. The remaining 50 psalms are anonymous, with tradition attributing many to Ezra. So there's a bit of background information concerning the book of Psalms, and so now let's get into it. So this is Psalm 1, starting at verse 1. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, and Why is that? Because the counsel of the ungodly, are basically to come up with ungodly deeds, right? That they would then enact or implement or go about to accomplish. And blessed is the man that walks not in their ways, because such a man is one that is pleasing to the Lord. The Lord hates the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners. Standing in the way of sinners is not like you're interrupting them while they're walking. What it means is you're with them, you're joined with them, or you congregate with them. Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Okay, so you're not in somebody sitting in the in the seat of the scornful is you're in that position, right? So blessed are those that are not, when the scornful are those that, who do they scorn? Because here you can see the context is dealing with the wicked, right? So they're scorning against the righteous. But his delight is in the law of the Lord Yahweh, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And the law, let's actually go into that word law, because the law is more than just the actual commandments and the statutes. All right. It says here, Thawarah, which in English is Torah, instruction, direction, body of prophetic teaching, instruction in messianic age, body of priestly direction or instruction, law, custom, manner, Deuteronomic or Mosaic law. Okay, a precept or statute. So the law is more than just the actual commandments, but it also goes into really the instructions or the doctrine or the book in itself. So within here we have the words of the Lord, and as it says here, the one who is righteous has delight in the law of the Lord, right? That is where you seek to be. That is a company that you seek to be among, right? That is what you meditate upon. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. So what is that? Is a metaphor for you're going to be, nourished, right? You're going to be, well taken care of, because a tree that's planted by the rivers of water is going is going to be nourished, right? It's gonna be sustained, because it already has the water, that get to it. For example, that's why places like Egypt with the Nile, they were very well set, right? In famines, oftentimes they would have good provision because they always had that body of water, right? That Nile that was close by, so they could easily water their plants. Now imagine a tree that's planted in, close to a desert somewhere, right? Or in some far remote area where there's little to no access to water. What's going to happen to it? It's going to wither and die. It says here that bringeth forth his fruit in his season, his leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. See, and so that's likened on to the success that'll come to a godly or a righteous individual, right? They're going to be likened onto this tree that's well nourished, that whatever fruit or actions it brings forth or whatever comes of it was going to prosper. One example is Joseph and also Jacob, right? And the scriptures tell you how whatever they put their hands to, the Lord made it prosper. Verse 4, the ungodly are not so. See, the ungodly are not like that, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. And this is what chaff looks like. Like this. Okay. Chaff is dry, scale-like plant material, such as the protective seed casings or cereal grains. The scale-like parts of flowers or fine chopped straw. Chaff cannot be digested by humans, but may be fed to livestock, plowed into soil, or burned. And so usually when you have this being the casings of the seed, when they wanted to get the grain or the seed, and they would, they would beat it on the threshing floor, the chaff that would remain would be blown away by the wind, right? Or gathered up and burned, but they wouldn't be needed, right? So here, the ungodly are likened onto that chaff that are driven away by the wind, to say that they're not going to stand for long, right? And they're not going to prosper. They're going to be like chaff that's just blown away by the wind, to where nobody even thinks of it as an afterthought. Therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. Let's read this in the NLT. It says, they will be condemned at the time of judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord Yahweh knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. See? So those that are righteous, that follow the ways of the Lord, they're going to prosper. And the Lord knows their hearts. He knows, their way, right? Their path, the things that they do. But concerning the ungodly, the Lord is going to judge them, right? And that's why they're going to perish. So, fairly short psalm, but that brings us to the end of the book of Psalm 1. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bracha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.